It's Growing Up Punk episode 2. We did it. Did you do it?
We're live on the air.
We are live and we are on the air. Testing. I just want to turn you down a little bit.
Testing testicles.
Testing testicles. What? This is an entirely different show from what it once was. This is now the show all about men's health. Testing your testicles. No, but we are back for another episode of Growing Up Punk. Aaron can hardly contain himself. We're going to talk about... So we started the journey last episode talking about MXPX, a band that played a pivotal role for both of us in, kind of getting things going as far as that musical journey of punk rock is concerned. I know you were saying, kind of outside of recording, that MXPX wasn't specifically your first punk band that you got into. Is that right?
Yeah, there was a few. I think actually Slick Shoes was one of the first actual ones I got. But I think MXPX was just the one that kind of maybe had more influence on me kind of immediately.
Right.
And then kind of, as time went on and figured out more stuff and got the internet and, could see pictures of bands and stuff.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I'm sure technically for me, the first punk band I ever listened to and identified as liking, probably like a lot of us who grew up in the 90s, was Green Day. But
Yeah.
but I mean, as far as going out and buying something and going, okay, this is where the journey begins, and where I say the journey began for me was with MXPX. But I bring all that up because for myself, I'm pretty sure this next band that we're going to talk about, which I don't know why I'm being secretive, it's literally in the title of the show. We are talking about Face to Face. There's no beating around the bush here.
What if I'm right and you wrong? What if you knew it all along? What if I figured out that I did not belong? What if it always
I say, attributing MXPX because I believe the first time I heard of Face to Face was reading MXPX liner notes, and we talked about that in the last show about going through liner notes and just kind of discovering new bands. So can you specifically, maybe not the very place that you heard it, but do you remember when you first heard about Face to Face?
Yeah, and I was going to say, I think it was through MXPX, whether in a liner note or they were wearing one of their shirts or something and just thinking the name was cool. And my brother went to the city, so he was a few years older than me, and so he came back with a bunch of records. One was MXPX's At the Show, and he also came back with Face to Face's first live record, and also an EP called Over It, which I couldn't find on streaming services. But
yeah, they don't have much in the way of EPs up on the streaming services, it seems, these days. They like to focus on the full lengths, which it's fine by me. That's typically what I go for anyway, because I want the more music the better. But yeah, Over It looks like came out in 1994. What was on it? I just got Face to Face, their Discogs open. I want to see if Disconnected, A-OK. So I want to say that must have come out right before or right after. Let's go up here. Same year as Big Choice.
Okay, yeah.
But
yeah, so I didn't really know much about that EP, and I can't even honestly remember a whole lot of the songs on it.
Yeah.
The live record was definitely what kind of took my attention, and which was kind of weird because that was probably the first band that I got into through a live album.
Sure.
Or even a live album that I'd even heard. Maybe I'd even really notice what that was, but
yeah, that live album was huge for me. I can remember. I want to say I think I bought Big Choice first because I'm pretty sure I read the liner notes and then immediately was I got to go get something. And Big Choice was, I don't know if it was the one that jumped out to me because of the artwork or if it was just literally what was available. But the only 3 Face to Face albums when I was growing up that I owned were Big Choice, the live album, and How to Ruin Everything. And that live album, you're right. There's not a lot of live albums that I compare to it that hold up, because we talked about this a little bit over text message, just the fact that live albums don't typically like kind of grab my attention as much as say like a studio album does, right? And we were talking about that because there's a new live album that just came out by Face to Face, and it's legit a banger of an album.
So good.
It is so good. And you know what I love about it? I haven't actually compared the tracks, but I feel what they did for the most part, because now they have at least, I mean, 2 for sure. I'm trying to think if there may be like on Apple Music or something, like some live sessions or something, but 2 official live albums for sure. And I don't know if there's any crossover tracks outside of maybe 1, because I feel like, yeah, go on.
Yeah, I think they did more so new ones that I recognized anyways.
Yeah. I mean, that first live album had, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, like 18 to 20 songs on it. Whereas this one, the one that just came out, Live in a Dive, I think only has like 10 songs. But
yeah.
I forgot to look at something. I'm an idiot. But they definitely focused more on this new record of just being like, yo, we have this live album out. If you really want to go listen to all of these songs, like your favorite songs live, go listen to it. Except I think Disconnected is on both of them, maybe. I just want to double check. But guaranteed, I mean, that for sure wasn't the full show that they released from that night, right?
Right, yeah. Yeah, because it was definitely more to the point and newer, and but which I think is really cool. Like, I don't know a lot of bands that have more than one live album. Yeah. But, there was, 20 years in between. And
yeah.
And so I thought it was really cool just to showcase kind of where they're at and that they're still, so good live.
Yeah.
And that a huge part of, that genre of music is captured in a live setting. And so...
yeah. I was going to say, this is interesting that Disconnected actually wasn't on that live album, which is crazy because out of all the songs on that album, like, Disconnected is easily the oldest. It was out before... Was it out? Yeah, it had to have been out before that live album. Yeah, Disconnected? Unless I'm just thinking wrong and it was actually... Sometimes I get their songs confused.
Yeah, I'm not sure on the timeline on that, too.
Oh, I'm just like flipping back and forth between all of their... is that a covers album? That must be... Maybe. I'm just flipping back and forth between all of their albums on Discogs right now. And I'm trying to find Disconnected. I should have known this, right? I feel
we do research on the air.
We do research as we talk.
That's the level we're at.
Yeah. Well, and Disconnected for sure was out before the live album. It's on Big Choice. And is it? You know what I think might have happened here? Because then is it also on
the self-titled?
It's also on Don't Turn Away, so their first album. But on Big Choice, I think I know why it's not on the live album. On Big Choice, at the beginning of Disconnected, you can hear them. There's like this like little skit sort of deal that they do where they're like talking to like a record label exec or whatever, and they're like, "Well, that song was on our last album. We don't want to put it on this album," and then they play it. So I'm guessing that's why it wasn't on the live album, because they're like, we've already had it on 2 albums in our first 5 years of existence. So I mean that's a fair play. So it is on the Live in a Dive record though, which is kind of cool. Ties it all together for sure. But so we jumped way ahead. We're here to talk about Face to Face. So I guess maybe the next part we look at is have you seen them live? How many times have you seen them live?
I got to finally see them for the first time, as far as I can remember. Maybe last 2 years. Well, I guess since Protection came out, which I think was 2016. So shortly after that, they came through Regina, and it was amazing. I was so stoked, and I love that bands like that are still touring, especially in these parts, because we don't get a lot of those kind of shows through here. So it was amazing, and they're still like, I'm always blown away by bands of that age and that have toured for so long, and that they can just still be so good live and have the energy and or command a crowd, and it was amazing. Yeah,
they were. I saw them on that same tour. Actually, I'm assuming it was the same tour because I saw them after Protection came out. And going into that show, I didn't really, because they're a band for me that I kind of like stopped paying attention to a little bit for a period of time. And today, actually, I was doing some work around the house, just finishing things up in the basement. There's still like one or two minor things, but I was putting some shelves up today or whatever, and I was just listening to, I think over the course of the weekend, for sure, I listened to every single studio album that they've put out. And for sure, there's a stretch there where I kind of like, but granted, there was also, keeping in mind, there was a stretch, there was a 9-year difference between How to Ruin Everything and their next album. Like, that is insane. Yeah. And so, like, How to Ruin Everything, I absolutely loved. Like, they were on, that was technically, I think their third record on Vagrant Records, because the live one was released on Vagrant. And then Reactionary in 2000, and then How to Ruin Everything in 2002. And then after that, 9 years, 2011 was their next full length. That was Laugh Now, Laugh Later. And then in 2013, 3 Chords and a Half Truth. But those two records, Laugh Now and Laugh Later, and then 3 Chords and a Truth, for me, I put them on, and there was a reason why I'd kind of stopped paying attention to them, I suppose, or lost interest a little bit. Yeah. They're not bad records, but I mean, and I'm assuming like they'd probably grow on me. In fact, like listening to Live in a Dive, I then picked up and recognized some songs that I didn't necessarily know very well. That when I was listening back to those 2 records, I was like, oh yeah. Like, I know these songs now because I recently heard them on a live record where they play them and they're fantastic. And but I think on a whole, those 2 records. But the thing is, that's literally like 11 years, well, I guess really 2002 to 2016 before they released something that I actually really ended up enjoying again. So that's 14 years in between, and I kind of lost, touch with them for a little bit there. But all that to say, I actually saw them on that tour, and then I saw them back when they were touring How to Ruin Everything, so it was probably in 2002, and they were touring with your favorite band. Can you guess who they were on tour with when I say your favorite band? Like just soaked in sarcasm.
I gotta think of who that would be.
They were touring with Moneen.
Oh, okay, yeah, wow.
Like I said, your favorite
I didn't know if you
band.
actually meant like it was just a band that I really liked and you didn't.
No.
However, it's a band you really like and I don't. So
yeah.
Why did they have to do that? Come on.
And I think they were both on Vagrant at the time for sure.
Right.
It was a really weird show though, because Face to Face, Moneen, and they were on tour with one other band, but that tour rolled into town to Calgary is where I saw them the same day as it was like the Punk-O-Rama tour or something like that, and it was like Guttermouth and Riddling Kids, and so it just ended up being this like giant show that we went to, because instead of doing 2 separate shows, they just played the same show. So it was almost like a bit of an indoor festival, which That's it was awesome. Rad, but I only wanted to see Face to Face and Moneen. Like I didn't have any interest in the other tour that was rolling through really. So it just like made this really bloated day, but Face to Face, they were so good. Yeah, there was then kind of the next really impactful record of theirs was the self-titled one, which we reviewed kind of back when the podcast was called something else, and that episode is not available anymore. Anyways, it may show up in the lost tapes. Yeah, I found it in the town I grew up in. There was like this liquidation like furniture store, and they had this storefront like pawn shop basically. So I always went there looking for CDs. And I found that Face to Face one, and I didn't really know anything about it, but I had, my brother had those CDs, and then that kind of really solidified my love for the band, and still one of my favorite albums, and definitely my favorite album of theirs. And we talked about in that episode, something that always stood out with Face to Face for me is I've always loved Trevor Keith's like lyric writing. I just always felt like he had something to say. And he didn't, he doesn't, the only time I think I've ever heard the guy swear is on live albums, which is kind of confusing to, not that he would swear on a live album, but I'm like always just kind of surprised when you like see, like where they came up through and the bands that they were playing with and like just that whole scene, right? Like he writes these songs that I think pack a lot of punch, but he doesn't like, he never feels the need, I guess you could say, to cheapen his words a little bit. Like I think there's a time and a place for sure when it comes to to language in songs, and some bands abuse that, some bands nail it right on the head, and then he just doesn't feel the need. And I'm like, huh. But yeah, that I was gonna say with their self-titled record, which has always made me laugh too. Once I figured it out, and I didn't figure this out until really like looking at streaming services, and so this is within the past few years. I always confused the self-titled record with Ignorance is Bliss. Like I thought the cover art of the self-titled record was the cover art of Ignorance is Bliss. Like I have no idea why, but that's always like been this. It was always this thing in my brain. Like, oh, when I picture the cover of the guy like staring in the mirror or whatever, I'm like, yeah, that's Ignorance is Bliss. Nope.
No, it's Face to Face.
Yeah,
self-titled.
Yeah,
the art is literally the name.
on the nose. Yeah, but for some reason, I think maybe because I had heard people describe like Ignorance is Bliss as like, oh, Face to Face, like going through an emo phase, not necessarily making emo music, but lyrically being more, emotional or whatever. And so like the cover art of the self-titled album just like reflects that a little. Reflects because he's looking in a mirror. Reflects that a little more. But yeah, no, it's forever I always got that confused, and I am not 100% sure why.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and then the album after that was Reactionary, I believe.
Yeah.
And that was the last CD of theirs I bought until Protection came out. So yeah, I'm the same. And I think part of the reason why I kind of lost interest, like my musical interests were kind of shifting around that time more to heavier stuff. I still always checked it out, but it just didn't really, none of those albums really left a lasting impression on me. And so, yeah, I love that Protection came out, and it's just such a ripper of an album. And today I was listening to, they have a commentary on that album on Spotify.
Yeah.
And they were saying that they thought it's the best face-to-face record that they've done, which was really cool. Like, you don't hear many bands that have been around for that long think that. I know every band says their latest is their best, but when you have a legendary band like that, it's interesting that they would have that perspective as well.
Do you know, did they say when that was, like, that commentary was recorded?
It sounded like it was, like, fairly shortly after Protection was put out.
That's fair, yeah. Because I wonder, like, if they went back and if they were to go back and record that now, like, what they would say would be like, oh, it's actually, like, fifth down the line now. But it was actually, like, so Reactionary was kind of like the start of me not listening to Face as much. Like, I was definitely always more familiar with like the live album and before, and then there was a bit of like a gap, and then How to Ruin Everything, because How to Ruin Everything, it must have been probably the first album that I was a fan of the band before it came out. I still love everything about that record. When I put it on, I just love how like the production on it to me sounds a little more raw. And then all I can do every time I listen to that album, for every song, which is not a good thing, but for every song, all I can think of is the video for the song on there, The New Way, which is like about like I want to say it's just like a single shot, like a oneer, where they follow a guy into the venue, and is it a oneer? And it's just like, anyway, he like goes into the show. Well, there was a new MXPX video that did something similar that reminded me a little bit of it from their new album, but it like follows him into the show or whatever, and then it like pans around and the band's playing on stage. It might not be a oneer. I may be confusing. Dashboard Confessional may have also done a video similar, which are two very different bands, but we're both on Vagrant at the same time. So that's my excuse. But the video I just always remember for The New Way just like stuck with me. I loved it, and I watched it on repeat because I had it on a Vagrant Records DVD.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, Face to Face was also a band that as I was getting into band merch, they were pretty up there with, like MXPX would have been the first, and they were definitely pretty close after that. Actually, I found one of their shirts in your sweet city of Edmonton at the mall. There used to be this sweet band shirt place, and they had this really killer Face to Face shirt, and I wish I still had it.
What was the merch design?
there was like one guy was like boxing another, and kind of like the boxing glove was going towards his face, kind of thing.
Yeah, I'm trying to think if was that artwork for one of their albums, or am I thinking? Does it just remind me of? Because that's like similar art design to like the Vagrant Records DVD, like the DVD they were on. It featured boxers on the cover, but yeah, it doesn't look like it was cover art for any of their albums. But yeah, no, I don't think I ever owned anything by Face to Face, actually.
Oh, and when they came through again, I got a shirt of theirs. However, I should have bought a size larger.
Oh no!
As it like washed it and it shrunk a bit and just wasn't comfortable, so I don't really ever wear it, which is a bummer. But it's always interesting to me thinking back to bands that were influential on me, and how it wasn't just the music, but also with merch.
Yeah,
you know, like when I got a shirt of a band, for some reason it kind of like solidified that yes, I really love this band. Because I'm wearing their shirt now. And it was pretty hard to get merch back then, you know, at least where I was. You know, even in stores and stuff, there wasn't really anything. And, you know, you could probably find it online, but it was expensive and took forever to ship. And so it's fun thinking about, you know, that side of things as well.
So were you always like a merch collector, as it were?
Yeah.
Because like I never really, like, when I think about it, I'm like, we talked in the last episode, you know, I had an MXPX t-shirt that I got at HMV. I had a Blink shirt that I got at HMV, but then I don't think I really had any band merch outside of music until probably, like, within the last few years.
Wow.
Like
Like, since I got into punk music, 80% of my shirts are band shirts, even still.
Yeah. I buy some shirts, but you know how you mentioned you should have bought a size larger or whatever. Most of the time now I find, because I'll do like pre-order stuff for, you know, releases coming out or whatever, and they'll be like, "Oh, get a bundle." It's like, "All right, cool. That sounds like a decent deal." And then I get a bundle, and it's like, "Oh, this shirt doesn't fit me even remotely." Like whether it's like, oh, it's too big or it's too small. I'm like, I wish there was just like one standard size for shirts. You know, all smalls were the exact same size, medium, large. You know what I mean? It's like a friggin' guessing game when you order something.
Just gotta buy extra large and get it specially tailored.
I suppose, and actually I typically buy extra large because there was is for the Wonder Years. I did like a Sister Cities pre-order, and so I pre-ordered a shirt and I got it extra large, and it fits like a dream. Like, it's so nice. And then I went and saw them on tour for that album, and I was like, okay, you know, like kind of naively, I suppose, thinking like, yeah, their merch sizes they're going to be like the same. So I'll get this shirt in an extra large, and I get it. It's like a tent. It's like massive on me. I'm like, why?
I was just gonna say, just buy every shirt in like 3XL and just wear them as a dress.
just wear them as a.
Or just like sew the bottom half, cut the bottom half down, and just turn it into like shorts, like a jumper.
I was gonna say a romper or whatever. I mean, those are in right now. Can you imagine when are
punk rock
bands,
rompers?
Yeah, this needs to be a thing. Patent that right now. Punk rock rompers, man. Punk rompers. Are you a punk rocker? You need a punk romper.
Yeah, no gitch, just free flowing in the pit.
Oh, people will love you when you're crowd surfing. Sorry. How did we skip this? How do we blow right past this? This is like, I mean, I understand with this show what we're trying to do is, you know, discuss music we used to listen to for the most part. Well, we still listen to, but we both just came off seeing the Interrupters in the last week.
Yeah.
And they were, I mean, I know the Edmonton show was crazy. You said the Regina show was really good.
Yeah.
Been a while since I've seen a band that just like completely, like, I was like, from start to finish of their set, I was just like, yeah, I didn't even know necessarily all of the songs, but I knew, you know, enough of them. But the crowd was off, or like going off. They were going off. And the thing that I loved was, I don't know about the Regina show, but the Edmonton show was an all ages show. Yeah. And so, like, there were kids everywhere. It was like a family event. And, like, Amy Interrupter is, like, interacting with every single one of them all of the time. I was like, this is so great.
Yeah, Yeah, she did such a great job of that. And even
Yeah.
like to correlate the two, back to when I was saying, for a band, not that Face to Face or like grandpas or anything, but I specifically remember when they played here, just thinking that they did such a great job of commanding the crowd. Yes, there wasn't kids, and most of the people were drunk and having a good time. But you see a lot of punk bands where it's like, you know what, they're just going to play. They don't. It's not that they don't want to interact with the crowd, but they just kind of do their thing. But I remember specifically Trevor Keith just being really well at kind of, yammering back and forth with the crowd and engaging them and making it really, enjoyable for everyone to be there. So
Yeah, when I saw them on that tour, it was a bit of a bummer, but also kind of neat at the same time, because I don't know how many people were at the Regina show, but the Edmonton show, there was maybe 200 people. Like, it was, you had space on the floor. Like, you didn't have to, like, you could stand right in front of the stage and you weren't going to get bumped by anyone for the most part. Like, it was, they played in the same venue that the Interrupters just played in, which I think is like a 900 person capacity. So, like, it's 2 floors there, right? You have the upstairs where you can kind of got the bird's eye balcony view, and then downstairs. So for Face to Face, the upstairs was closed, and then downstairs was, there was a fair amount of space, which was kind of a bummer because we just came off seeing Millencolin maybe 2 months or so prior, and like that show was packed. It was at a different venue, but that show was packed, full of energy. So, but yeah, no, Face to Face, they've always been like, I can put them on anytime and just be like, yep. And like even recently, like the live album just came out, Live in a Dive, but right before that, they released an acoustic album.
Oh yeah.
And dang if it isn't like so good. Yeah, like there's a few like maybe stylistic choices on that record where I'm like, I don't know if I would have quite gone so like country or whatever, but the song selection was great too on that record.
Yeah, and I'm sure it's kind of hard to know, when it's upbeat songs, you're not going to do like acoustic punk drumming. So the only other way to really go is that kind of country
like
jam, polka, shuffle thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought they did a really good job of still making it interesting. They had cool leads and, different percussion things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
good,
like, and I mean,
on that.
Yeah, obviously some of them, they slowed the tempo down a little bit. Like for instance, the song "Blind," like it's not played at the same tempo that they play it live.
Yeah.
Most of them, I want to say, they slowed down, but some of them they really kind of, I think, embraced that, which was refreshing. It's nice because now I can legit take Face to Face and put them on at any time of day.
Yeah,
even if I'm, even if I want to wake up in the morning and I just want a blast of energy so I can get my day going and I can face everything the world's throwing at me. Well, 99.9% of their discography is perfect for that. If I just want to mellow out, maybe I'm going to sleep, or I just want to like ease into the day. Now you got Hold Fast, and it's so good too. So definitely they're a versatile band. Even though I wouldn't have said that when when I kind of initially look at their discography, like a lot of their stuff sounds pretty similar, right? Like a Face to Face song when it comes on.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, they mentioned that in the commentary too, just that they like when a song comes on and they know, even for themselves, when they have that thought like, this is a classic Face to Face song, they still want to write those kind of songs.
They're definitely an example of a band. People will complain about bands changing and blah, 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 blah. They're definitely an example of a band that has held true. Like their style is basically the same now. I mean, it's probably more refined would be fair to say. Sure. But it's still the same now as it was then. Like you're not, there's no curveballs thrown at you. They haven't released, as much as I actually like the album, they haven't released like an American Idiot, which was just an about turn, like for a band like, whoa, Green Day now sounds very different, right? Like sort of deal, or whatever, other options or other examples that are out there. But yeah, with Face to Face, it's like, hey, if you want a skate punk album, well, since 1992, Face to Face have been releasing them almost every 2 years, except for an 11-year hiatus. I don't know, but yeah, no, they definitely know how to keep it good, which is a testament to them too, because now that we're at Protection. I was when I saw Protection come out, and initially I was kind of like, because I was like, I saw they were coming, so I was like, I should probably listen to the new album. I was like, even at that point, I was like, it's okay. I didn't come to realize how good that record was until I bought Protection on vinyl at Punk in Drublic. They weren't playing at Punk in Drublic, but I believe it was released on Fat Records.
Yeah.
And so at Punk in Drublic, there was a Fat Records merch table, and they just had a box of vinyl. And so I was like flipping through. There was a bunch of decent stuff, but like nothing that was immediately capturing me, because it was like, the second newest Mad Caddies album that I was like, ho-hum, thinking about it or whatever, right? And then I came across Face to Face Protection. I was like, yeah, I'll get it. And then I put it on and went, man, this record is so good, especially the way it starts. Like, it just kicks you in the face. And you talk about like that classic Face to Face sound. It's 110% that. And we're literally, we're talking what 19, I think they started in 90. Well, they started in 91, I guess. And that record came out in 2016. So that's 25 years at that point. They're releasing music. That's
crazy.
So crazy. What else is crazy is that their bass player is literally the brother of the guitar player from the Foo Fighters.
Oh, yeah.
It's funny because I never put like two and two together, which is dumb of me because both of their last names are Shiflett.
Right, so that's their current bass player?
Yeah, I think has he not been in the band the whole time? I mean,
Oh,
maybe not.
totally
He's been in the band
remember-
I feel like he's been in the band for a long time.
Okay, yeah, I definitely recognize that last name. I wouldn't have known that about the Foo Fighters. But,
Yeah, it looks like his first face-to-face record that he played on was the self-titled album. So 1996 is when he joined the band.
Wow.
Yeah, but where are we here? He is the brother of Foo Fighters lead guitarist Chris Shiflett, which is great because I've looked at pictures of both of them and thought, man, they look alike. And then one day I just happened to be, I believe I was looking up Face to Face for whatever reason. I don't even know when this was because it wasn't, in preparation for this or the last episode that we did where we featured Face to Face. I just was looking them up for some reason and then went, oh, snap. Like, he is the brother of the lead guitar player of the Foo Fighters. So that's
Why
pretty
hasn't
cool.
that tour happened yet?
Right? Face to Face and Foo Fighters? I wonder if it has
little
happened.
too drastic?
No, do you think it's happened? I wonder if it's
I've
happened.
never heard of it. Maybe like a one-off show or something, but maybe they just know they have their crowds and they don't want to.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure. I'm definitely. He also plays with Me First in the Gimme Gimmes, by the way. But I'm sure they've definitely played shows together. I'm curious. Foo Fighters. This is the Google machine. Facebook. Nope. I don't want their Facebook. I'm typing with one hand while I hold a mic here. Tour. Let's see. Come on, Google. What's this? This is from June 15th, 2002. Viva Death, a Foo Fighters face-to-face collaboration. More information has surfaced about Viva Death. Oh, it's a new band formed by Foo Fighters guitarist Chris Shiflett, his brother face-to-face bassist Scott, face-to-face frontman Trevor Keith. What?
You ever heard of that?
I know. Wait a minute. Now I'm like, I got to check. Viva Death. It does actually sound very familiar. What does this say? Face-to-face. Viva Death reportedly features a darker sound than both Foo Fighters and Face-to-Face, at times recalling the likes of Fugazi or Jawbox. Oh,
Yikes.
man. No, I must have heard this. Viva Death. Because it does sound familiar. But I came in here to find out if there was a tour.
Well, that description wouldn't have drawn me in at any time, so that's probably why.
I love Fugazi. They were, which is interesting because I first really started listening to them when I was reading the biography of Dave Grohl. Dave Grohl came out of the same scene, like the DC hardcore scene, as like Fugazi and
Right.
Minor Threat and all that stuff. It's still Viva Death apparently is still around. It says they are an American rock band formed from members. So we're about to hear them. You ready for this?
I'm so ready.
You're gonna hear it over your phone. Who knows if it'll be any good? I hear nothing. Oh, that's because the volume's down. Good job, me. It's a win for me. Let's just jump ahead. I can't. It's interesting. That song's called Broken Nose. I'd have to check it out. The name definitely rings a bell to me, but that's funny. Huh.
Yeah, I might be back there and in the memory box with a bunch of random stuff.
Well, and I think this is going down a bit of a rabbit hole because I believe Trevor Keith, I want to say he had like a mashup thing that he was a part of. Did you ever hear about that?
No.
It's called the Legion of Doom. Is a music production team and electronica group famous for their download-only mashup album, incorporated remixes and original music for horror soundtracks.
Sounds sketchy.
So this is Trevor Keith and Chad Blindman. Who's Chad Blindman? Why is that name familiar? I don't know. But some of the like they'd be mashups that were pretty rad because it was like I Know What You Buried Last Summer, which was Buried Alive by Census Fail, and You're So Last Summer by Taking Back Sunday. Dottie in a Car Crash, I'm a Loner Dottie, A Rebel by the Get Up Kids, and Understanding in a Car Crash by Thursday. So they were like mashing up like
I see.
Current at the time anyway, or semi-current because I don't remember when this came out, but like post-hardcore, emo, punk songs. It was pretty great. They have one called Stupid Kill, which is Stupid Kid by Alkaline Trio and Kill Me Quickly by Thrice. Maybe that one.
Nice.
Maybe that one knocks on your door a little bit.
Yeah,
but,
that's intriguing.
Yeah, it's Trevor Keith, man, because he also he's done like production work. I know, for instance, he am I back on? Oh yeah, I'm on Trevor Keith. I'll say he's produced. I know he did the No Motive record, which is celebrating 20 years this year. He's producer on a bunch of Face to Face. What? He produced Face to Face? What?
What a guy.
Yeah. What else did he do on here? Oh, he produced a couple No Motive albums. Oh, and Monine, and Viva Death, which is funny. Oh, he did a split with Dropkick Murphys that he produced. Anyways, whatever.
Cool.
Down that rabbit hole. But so Face to Face as a band for me, they were a band that actually meant something to me. If that makes sense. Like in
what way?
Well, just like as a songwriter. So when I was, like really heavily listening to Face, I was just like smack dab in the middle of playing and writing punk show. Like playing punk shows, writing punk. Just
I thought you were going to say puberty, not punk.
Smack dab in the middle of puberty. Yeah,
they meant so much to me during that time.
There was probably a little bit of that too. I don't know. But no, they just like lyrically how Trevor Keith, again going back to that, how he would write his songs. I always felt like there are specific songs I can think of that I wrote that I was like, I want to write a Face to Face / Trevor Keith song, right? Like where I'm like, I want to use just the way he would write songs, and the content was always pretty like I don't think he ever wrote songs that were super deep, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
But I always just felt like the content in those songs was like something that you could easily grasp onto, especially for a high school kid who was wishing he was angrier than he was. I wish I had something to be mad about, but here I am sleeping in my house that's got a furnace in it, and I got a roof over my head, and my parents feed me. I wish I could be angry about something.
Well, Face to Face, they wouldn't be that band to get you angsty.
Well, and the thing I actually like about them, and to this day, is also like with their songwriting, is that he doesn't really write lyrics that feel like they're being shoved down your throat, right?
Yeah,
like
that's fair.
I can think of a few bands where they've got, specific things that they stand for, and maybe it's more like maybe Trevor does have songs that some other people be like, man, it just feels like he's cramming whatever it is that he believes down my throat, right? But I think about bands like Good Riddance, for instance.
Right.
I'm like, when they get into their vegan songs or whatever, I'm kind of like, you lose me a little bit because they're so on the nose, I think.
Yeah.
And same with like even like going back and looking at bands like Minor Threat, going back to that DC scene, and and Ian MacKaye, just like obviously some of his like lyrics in regards to like straight edge and stuff like that, where when I would have been first discovering that music, I for sure would have identified as straight edge. I didn't drink, I didn't do drugs, any of that. But at the same point, I wasn't like, there was none of that sort of, you're screwing your life up if you're doing this and you're,
Yeah.
Whereas I think you can find that in some of that music. But Trevor Keith, I have no idea any of his actual, like, anything beyond, like the surface sort of thing with his songs. Like, you might, I guess, with some songs get a little bit intel maybe in like relationship sort of things, but at the same point, I don't know if what he's writing, if it's autobiographical or not, right? But he doesn't shove things down your throat.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and he mentioned on that commentary how he typically just kind of writes about stuff going on in life and kind of looking inwards into oneself. But then he said for protection, he kind of got like sick of that, how celebrities or whatever would post something and he would just say, oh, that's a bunch of BS, just be who you're gonna be. And so for protection, he just kind of wrote about whatever he wanted to, and I don't know if that makes sense, but
I mean, I don't know if that's different than how he used to write or not, but I mean, every now and then you can definitely kind of hear something come out, because I wouldn't say, at the same point, I wouldn't say they're like a happy-go-lucky band. Like, it's not like that where they're just like, they're definitely not just writing fluff. I just think they go about it in a way where it's, it's easy to attach yourself to. Regardless, I think, of where kind of you may stand on certain things. Is your house blowing up? You keep beeping.
Well, I'm in the basement by the furnace, so you might hear that, and there's the internet thing beeps every so often.
It's just letting you know the internet is still here.
I don't know what that is. Sorry,
it's nice that it does that for you.
Well, I don't know what it's beeping, if it's low battery or it's just been doing that forever. So
that's funny. Hopefully, it's
sorry
not like
if that's distracting.
No. It's hopefully it's not like your car. You said you're sitting beside the furnace, so hopefully it's not a carbon monoxide detector that you're just ignoring.
There's some smoke going on down here. I'm not sure.
Aaron's just gonna go silent all of a sudden. Knock knock. Are you there? Oh man. No, Face to Face, man. They I literally had written down in I think this is for not just this episode, but in like the things to talk about. Are you still listening? Yeah, I think it's obvious that we're both still listening to Face.
Yeah.
Or would it be more accurate to
Always.
say listening again? Because I think with that still listening question here, like, they're still making music. And
right.
there was definitely a stretch there where I wasn't really listening. I'd just go back to my my favorites or whatever.
Yeah.
But definitely, in preparation for this episode, I could not stop listening to Protection, and then Live in a Dive. Live in a Dive more so led me to listen to Protection because of the number of songs off of it. But it's a jam. So instead of asking if you're still listening, you didn't really have an answer for this question last time. So I'm hoping you're a little more prepared. But do you have a favorite album and a favorite Face to Face song?
Yeah, I'm going to have to go with the self-titled, with Protection very close after. But, I mean, self-titled, I guess with any album that's been out for a while, I mean, obviously there's 20 years of memories of listening to that. And, I think I'm going to have to go with Blind on that one. It's just such a classic song. I've heard some covers of it that I really like. And it was amazing when they played it live here. So I'm going to go with that.
Well, episode over, because that was my exact same answer. Except I may change. Blind is definitely, I think, still my favorite face-to-face song. It's the only one I've ever learned how to play. So I'm going to say that is my favorite song. But I might actually go out and potentially say How to Ruin Everything is my favorite album. I have so many like memories tied to that record.
Yeah,
and
which
the
is
way
a big part of it.
Yeah, and the way it closes, like the title track, which is interesting. The title track is the last track, which is also an acoustic track. So that was a little different, I think, for them. There was a time, and I guess it came out during that time though, when like like punk bands, pop punk bands or whatever would typically end with like a softer ballad, right?
Right.
And so they definitely did that on this record, and I just really liked it. I mean, Trevor Keith's voice is just, I think, even better. Like you get to hear it on the acoustic album, right? Like he's not just yelling at you.
Right. Yeah.
For a guy who's not shoving things down your throat, he does an awful lot of yelling. His sing voice is a yell voice.
Yeah, I always thought he had a really cool and unique voice. When you put on
Yeah.
one of their records or when you hear it, you know who it is, which I think
Yeah.
is a really cool trait for a band that's been around for so long.
Yeah, yeah.
Or just any band. When you put it on, it's like, oh, that's that band.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, no, I 100%. Like he's definitely got he's got his own voice. And that you can't say that for every band. I feel like maybe you could. Well, I don't know. Maybe it's just because the legends have established themselves in that regard.
Yeah.
But I was gonna say, because like looking back on that time in music, I feel like maybe there was more variety in vocalists than there is now. But that could even be wrong. It could just be like, you know, attaching to those larger bands, those bands that had a bigger following. Well, there's a reason they set themselves apart,
Yeah.
right? But
Yeah.
I used to always think, and this could be very wrong, in my mind, I think someone had told me, and now I'm about to find out why I haven't done this before. I don't know. But I had heard that English to Spanish, I always, like, sometimes in my brain will refer to the, like, face-to-face as, what was it? Vis-a-vis? But I don't think that's face-to-face in Spanish. Someone had told me that. Let's see. Face-to-face. No, not even close. Cara a cara. I don't know where that came from, where I heard that. But anyway, I just had to. I figured this was an opportune time to look that up. Does it mean that in a different language? I wonder. This is just going to start a rabbit hole, though, if I go too far down this. What are common languages?
I just got the low battery alert too, so
Oh,
if I am silent, it's not from passing out from carbon monoxide.
it's not from what?
From passing out due to carbon monoxide.
Oh, carbon monoxide. That's fair. Well, in that case, before you die on us, we're gonna wrap it up. You could find the show. I really gotta like simplify this. We're on Twitter and Instagram. Twitter is @GrowingPunkPod. Instagram is @GrowingUpPunk. I should really just like amalgamate those two and just make them both the same.
Well, you just search it up and find it.
Yeah. And then Instagram and Twitter for myself, I am. What am I?
Growing Up David.
Am I growing up? No, I'm David Growing Up.
Oh yeah.
I tried to get Growing Up David, and it's like the Twitter is. I think it was a Twitter or an Instagram, one of the two. It's like some mom that's like was posting pictures of her kid, her son, who I'm assuming was David, but it's like hasn't been used for like a couple of years now. And I'm like, come on. But it is what it is. You're on Instagram too, yeah?
Yeah, and I've got a few people following me, so thanks for
it's happening.
Thanks
It's all
for
happening.
hitting me up. My life's changing. We're
Yeah, you
doing
got to
it.
say what your Instagram name is, though.
It is.
It's all good that people are following you.
Now you got me second guessing what it is. Aaron Grew Up Punk.
I think that's what it was, yeah.
Yeah, Aaron
Yeah.
Grew Up Punk. Yeah.
That sounds about right. And of course, wherever you're listening to this, you can find it elsewhere in different places because we are basically everywhere you can find podcasts. Although the other day I tried to find us on Google Play. I know I've submitted it, but I cannot find it. So I don't know. If you're listening on Google Play, reach out and let us know. It also doesn't help that I'm on an iPhone and I don't have an Android, and so I'm just like I just assume it's messing with me. But
Yeah.
we're on supposedly Google. We are on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. We're on Castbox. We're on whatever radio player, all the things, as well as YouTube. So wherever you like to listen to podcasts, we're there for you, man. We're there for you.
We're at your uncle's. We're at your second cousins. You just got to look and you'll find us.
We're at every family reunion, I guess. Every really weird, awkward family reunion, we're there for you.
Yes, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, we're just never there face to face. Come on.
The end.
The dad joke. The dad joke was on fire. You made a dad joke earlier, so I get to make one. It wasn't even on the show, though. I said I'm
That's
pumped
true.
to talk about face to face, and you said you coming over tonight.
No, you said I'm pumped to talk face to face.
Oh yeah,
tonight.
that's right. Yeah, but I capitalized face to face. You just had to.
Yeah.
You had to make the joke. It's fine. It's all good.
Hey,
That'll.
and we are face to face over the internet.
Yeah.
So look at that.
I'm waving at
Hi.
you right now. This is good podcast audio. We're waving at each other. Keep waving. All right. That'll
Can
do
you
it.
hear my hand waving?
Yeah.
All right, that's
That'll
enough
do
for
it.
us.
So, adios. Goodbye.
Peace.